Hello and welcome to episode number 10 of this podcast. So today's podcast is going to be on the most effective way to decide on something and then really understand if you are on the right path after making that decision. For me, I have struggled a lot in the past with being able to make decisions from having that confidence to know that this is the right choice, and then also to know if you're on the right path as well. I think that sometimes we can make decisions, and then because we've made that decision, we spent so long trying to figure out whether it's the right choice or the wrong choice that you can almost ignore any little bits of feedback or any signs or signals which are trying to inform you that maybe you need to alter your path or hang off on making the decisions and all stuff like that. So that's mainly what we're going to be covering today. So this really comes from a place of me making a lot of decisions this year in terms of my job, my financial, relationships and all the different aspects and all the stuff that I'm doing with my socials and creating a business. It really took me to a place of having to learn why we make our decisions, and then also to have a good understanding of, once you've made that decision, if you should stick to it or not, So for me, I think the first thing that you really need to do when making a decision on anything is take some space with that decision itself. So have your options, lay them out in front of you, and don't try and force a decision. I think a lot of the times you'd have a feeling on whether this is the right choice or whether that's the right choice. If you don't have that, if you've got the options in front of you and you don't have that gut instinct of which one it will be, my preference on the way that I decide on things like this is there's a couple of different ways. If you've tried something before and you know that you prefer one of the options, go with the option that you prefer. Another way to organize it is if you've had any experience with anything and you really dislike that, then I would sort of structure it in a way of, this one's my least favorable, this one I'm kind of in the middle ground about, this one seems to be the best, and then you're going to choose that option. I think while you're going through this process as well, it's very important to remember that you need to approach it from a place of not judging yourself. Don't have this expectation that you need to make the right choice, because as I'm kind of getting to as an overall picture here is you can change your mind. Certain things are a little bit more sticky in terms of being able to pivot, like buying a house, buying a car, committing to a marriage or something like that. But even those things you can reflect and change, and especially with bigger choices, it just means that you take more time and you spend longer weighing the options up before you make that commitment, So in terms of, smaller things like, what days should I exercise on, or what bad foods should I remove from my diet first, or how long shall I spend stretching? These are all things which you can change at a moment's notice. I think we tend to start and overthink things and make them out to be something that's really big, when really all you need to do is just make a decision and try it. And I think that's the most important thing, because I was speaking to someone in the sauna yesterday, and they were speaking about how they're having this difficult kind of time in life figuring out whether they should go to this gym for their sauna or whether they should go to this gym for their sauna. And I just asked him, I was like, well, have you tried either one of them? And they were like, no. And I said, well, why are you trying to make a decision on which one will be better if you've never tried them? And he was like, oh, I see what you're saying there. And in my mind, I just thought to myself, this is a perfect example of why experience or trying out either option is a perfect option. And then not having the judgment, because if you go on one day to this gym and then you go on one day to this gym and you decide that this one's better and you sign up, but then you find out that actually it's not as good, you don't need to beat yourself up about that, because you decided and you made the decision for what was the best choice for you in that moment. So this is what I'm saying in terms of, you can be flexible, you can change your mind, you can always go over here, no matter what the option is. And I think not having that judgment on yourself gives yourself that space to be able to look at the options and just try to feel which is the best choice. And ultimately, we're always going to make these mistakes. We're always going to swap and change. So I think if you can go at it from the view of you're just trying to figure out what's the best thing for you to do in this moment, and know that there is a chance that that might change in the future. It might not even be that you made the wrong choice. It might be that things change, people change, circumstances change, what you like and dislike changes, what you want out of life, or what you want out of a gym, or what you want out of a relationship, or what you want out of a car changes over time. So even if you do make the right decision now, in 6 months, 12 months, 5 years from now, it's important to understand that things change, and then that would then mean that the choice that you would make may change as well. So just have some flexibility with it, and don't try and force yourself into making the correct choice every time, because that just leads to stress and overthinking, and then you end up making no decision. So yeah, I think another important thing to remember is it's always better to make a decision and experience either one of those. Like I said, in terms of the guy choosing from the gym membership, he could spend 6 months in limbo, stay in the gym that he's at now, which he doesn't like, and by the time the 6 months has passed, because the 6 months is going to pass either way, so he could have spent 3 months in gym A, 3 months in gym B, or if you're thinking about food or nutrition, you could spend 3 months eating in this kind of way, or you can spend 3 months eating in that kind of way, and then get the feedback and see which one's better. If it's a job, you could leave the job that you're in, that you're really unhappy. You could try this industry of work for 3 months, try this industry of work for 3 months, and no matter what happens, whether you really like this one, you don't like either of them, at least you've been through more experiences, and you've now got that knowledge of whether you enjoy this or you enjoy that. And then I feel like experience is everything. That's why generally people get better with this whole game of life the longer they've been alive, because they have more experiences. So I think the number one important thing to do is take some time, reflect internally to see what you feel like might be a good option. If you can go on past experiences, then use those, but it's more important to make a decision and just try either or, try all 5 options, because it's only through feeling what works for you is it going to make sense and things start to click. Because if you're trying to figure out if you want to go to this new job, you could be forever trying to figure out, what would I feel like if I start at this time, and what would it feel like if I got home at that time, and how would it feel if I worked weekends rather than and you can be forever in trying to figure out. Whereas you could go and work in this job for 1 week and instantly know, like, oh, my life's so much better, or I absolutely hate this, and it's experience over everything. So I think that's the main thing. Try something. You're always coming from the best place. And if it doesn't work, don't be too harsh on yourself, because at least you did something, you're experiencing, you're trying out new things, and then that's how you learn. And then you use those experiences to reflect, and then you can base that reflection from your experiences onto what you're going to move on to in the future. So that's it for today, guys. A nice quick one. I really hope that you've got something from this podcast. If you do have any questions about any of this, please drop something in below. And as always, I am on TikTok, I am on Instagram, I am on Facebook as well. So if you want to get more day-to-day type of stuff, then please follow me on all those platforms, and we can grow this community to something which is really going to help everybody. Peace and love, guys. Thanks a lot.